Stephen A. Smith back with us on SportsCenter talking about what else the Charlotte Bobcats. Kidding, back on the Lakers beat. Stephen A., listen, back in 2003, 2004, Lakers had that Hall of Fame roster. You had Kobe, Shaq, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, Phil Jackson as the head coach, and it didn't work. This year's squad just as loaded, but Phil walked away from the game on his own terms less than 2 years ago. Why would he want to come back?
Well, why he'd want to come back is, number one, because of the way things ended for him. They were unceremoniously swept by the Dallas Mavericks. It was incredibly embarrassing. It's something that Kobe Bryant alluded to last night post-game after beating up on the Golden State Warriors. That's number one. Number two, let's define what the definition of work actually is. Sometimes it's championship. Sometimes it's championship contention. It's just a constant process of elevation where you're in the championship picture. Certainly when Karl Malone and Gary Payton and those boys were there, it didn't work. But it didn't work in terms of them winning the championship. But they did get to the NBA Finals. They did live up to the hype to some degree. And so when you look at it from the standpoint of a Phil Jackson, that's what he virtually guarantees in more instances than not, that you're going to be in the picture, that you're going to be in position to succeed. And like Kobe Bryant alluded to, remember, his knee was shot. So he wasn't 100% going up against the Dallas Mavs. And obviously, you had several other players on the squad that weren't doing the things that they were supposed to be doing. In this particular case, you have who I consider to be the best big man in the game in Dwight Howard, still far from 100%, still looking to get his legs out under him and what have you, and to get his elevation back, his aerial assault back, but he's still averaging 19 and 9. You've got a guy in Pau Gasol. Well, we won't see him jacking up three-point shots if Phil Jackson is the coach. You've got Kobe Bryant, and you have a point guard like a Steve Nash, which is something they have never had with the Lakers organization, even in the Phil Jackson era. So you consider all the parts that they have available to them. There is no question that if you're going to make that kind of investment, signing Steve Nash, bringing in Dwight Howard, keeping Pau Gasol, Kobe Bryant still having 2 years at $58.3 million left on his deal. Why would you bring in an experiment? You don't do that. You bring in somebody who's tried, true, and tested, somebody who has a history of delivering the goods, and somebody you know intimately because he helped deliver 5 world championships to you, and that would be in the name of Phil Jackson. There's nothing to discuss here. They have to go and get him.